indigenous people of all the lands that we are on. We do this to reaffirm commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improve our own understanding of local indigenous peoples and their cultures. So today we would like to acknowledge that the land on which Rubicon is housed in Oakville is the traditional territory and treaty land of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and we are grateful to be here. We all very much appreciate you taking the time to join today's session. It's so great to have an eager and interested group of educators ready to learn about MathUP Student. We'll be recording today's session just so that anyone who wasn't able to join us has a chance to go back and see what we discussed today. Please drop any questions you have for Marian about MathUP Student into the Q&A box. As well, you'll notice a couple of familiar faces who are your Rubicon Savas sales reps. Please feel free to chat with them about any details about the product you have. It's always a pleasure to introduce Marian because I know just how engaging and educational her sessions always are. Before I pass it to her, just a brief introduction. Marian is an internationally renowned mathematics educator, author, professional learning consultant. Dr. Small, whose career in education has spanned more than 4 decades, is considered one of the most influential math educators in Canada. She has authored or co-authored more than 100 math resources and traveled to mathematics classrooms around the world to provide consultation focused on improving understanding and performance in K-12 mathematics. Without any further ado, Marian, over to you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It's lovely for you to be here today. I'm pretty excited to talk to you about this new venture that we're engaging in. Lots of you kind of know the history and know that when MathUP was created, I was certainly trying to do a product that was kind of different than the typical looking textbook. And because differentiation was such a big part of this story, one of the things that I shied away from doing is having long lists of exercises that students would do at the end of a lesson to kind of practice what they learned. Now, there are pieces that we called Your Turn, and there definitely is practice, but I just didn't want to see things like questions 1 to 20. Click, David. And so one of the things that I did was I hid the practice nicely in the activity. So I wanted to show you that there is what I'm going to call buried practice. And many of my colleagues kind of noticed it, but not all teachers did. So here's an example of a lesson where I'm asking children to show the number 2,698 using place value ideas, but I say list as many ways as you can. So it's not really one question. There's kind of a lot of practice buried in there. Click. Here's another example. In a younger grade, we're asking children to create patterns that repeat in the same way because we're talking about translating patterns. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see that after they create those patterns that repeat, one more slide, David, the same way, there was a piece where they were going to do more examples. Here's something at a higher grade where we ask kids to work with negative numbers with temperature change. But if you look at question 2, it says repeat question 1 for 3 other pairs of numbers. So essentially, I'm giving you more questions, but it just didn't show clearly to a number of teachers. And they kind of worried that there were kids who needed a little more practice than they saw. So we'll click again. And one of the things I've heard from many colleagues is that there are kids for whom there's plenty of practice, but there are kids who they felt needed more. And then teachers would have to spend the time go finding that extra practice. And when they found it, they had to think, well, does this kind of like fit with what I taught? Is it consistent with what I've been doing and the way I've been doing things? And so there was a kind of extra pressure on them, not only to go find the things, but then to feel good about the things that they found. Next slide. So what we decided to do, click again, I think, is to create the practice for teachers so that they wouldn't have to do all that work of go finding it and making sure it was appropriate. We also heard from teachers, and this is something that's essentially because we live in a digital world, that it would be wonderful if some of the questions could be scored automatically rather than a teacher having to actually look at a paper and assign a mark or check all the work. And so we decided it was reasonable for some of the questions we call skill questions to have them auto scorable. So that means the teacher won't have to be bothered. The student will get feedback directly, whether things were correct or incorrect. And so that will take a little bit of onus off the teacher. I should tell you now that the questions that were chosen are not random, and that was a deliberate decision. I thought really hard about every single question. Why would I want to ask this question versus this question versus this one? And so I've created the questions that will make me feel like we're addressing all the skills that I think are important to address, not just one partial skill repeatedly. Click. Also, the whole philosophy of MathUP, as you know, is that math is not just about skills, it's about skills and ideas. So just like on an assessment of learning topic, you'll see skill questions and concept questions. We didn't delineate them on the Your Turn pages, but here we are providing you skill questions as well as concept questions because we believe the practice shouldn't be only skill practice, it needs to be concept practice as well. So essentially the story with the practice is that not all children, but some children need more practice. I'm trying to take the onus off the teacher of finding that practice. I'm trying to take the onus off the teacher of deciding that these are good questions to practice and just helping out a little bit more. Now, there's one other piece, click, that we decided to kind of embed as well. And what we need one more click, David. One of the things that I thought about when we first created MathUP, and it kind of got put on a back burner, is the notion that sometimes kids need to see something again. And we often call it reteaching, although different teachers have different names for it. So in MathUP, you will notice in grades 1 and 2, when we talk about supporting activities, and in grade 9, where we actually have an explicit reteaching activity, we didn't actually create new reteaching activities for the other grades. We made some sort of informal suggestions about what to do, but nothing formal. So click. What I decided might be kind of an interesting thing to do is to create videos that parents could watch with their kids that would kind of go over an idea that was taught in a lesson. But as you can imagine, the Khan Academy thing isn't quite what I wanted. I wanted something where I was talking to kids. It was more informal, where it wasn't just about procedures. It was kind of still thinking about ideas as well as procedures. So I wanted an opportunity to take a lesson where there might have been a little bit more struggle than with some of the other lessons, create a reteaching video that children can watch either independently or with their parents or with a teacher to kind of come at that same idea yet another way to kind of reinforce what students had learned and to give them one more shot at something using slightly different language, slightly different visuals to kind of make sense of it. It's important, as you know, that these videos be short because none of us have patience anymore, and we want a nice, quick little video. And so we're going to show you an example of one of those videos that we created.
Yep.
Great. What do you think 8 minus 5 means? One of the things it means is that if you have 8 things and you take away 5 of them, you count what is left, and you can see that 3 are left. But 8 minus 5 can mean something different too. 8 minus 5 can mean how much more is 8 than 5. For example, if you have 8 stickers and I have 5, 8 minus 5 tells how many more stickers you have than I have. You have 3 more stickers. Here's another example. If you had 9 counters and I had 3 counters, we could write 9 minus 3 to show how many more counters you have than I have. I know it might seem strange that subtraction can mean 2 different things. You might feel better to see that the answers are the same. If you have 9 and remove 3, and that is 9 minus 3, there are 6 left. And 9 is 6 more than 3, so that's another way to say 9 minus 3 equals 6. Notice that when you think about takeaway, you show only the greater number and remove the amount for the other number. For example, this is 7 minus 2. But when you show 7 minus 2 as a comparison, you need to show both the 7 and the 2 and see what's extra in the 7. One way to figure out how much more is to use linking cubes. You can see that the extra cubes show what 7 minus 2 is. Okay, so while Dave is fixing it, I'll talk a little. One of the things you can see is I picked the lesson where we talk about subtraction as comparison to create the video because that's trickier for children than just takeaway. You saw that I spoke to them quite deliberately. You might have even noticed that when I showed how the takeaway was the same as the comparison, I really thought hard about which things I should take away. You may have noticed I took away the things on the left, so the extra was the same as the leftover. So what I mean about all this is what I'm trying to do for teachers is, because I have the time to think about all these little things, I'm trying to help them thinking it through so that when they use the video with their students or when the parents use a video with their students, we kind of are maximizing the opportunities to really make sense of things. We're trying to not overwhelm you, but ensure you're thinking about important ideas. We're trying to talk about very specific things like what materials you would use and how you would use them. So we tried to kind of cram a lot of that kind of thinking into that very short little video. We actually have prototypes already for grades 1, 4, and 8. I just happen to show you the grade 1 one at this point. Now, David, I think now we're showing them the whole thing, correct?
That's right, Marian. Yep.
Okay, so what's going to happen now is there is a video, you'll hear David's voice, that's going to let you see kind of what it looks like, how you click to go from one place to another, just so you have a better feel for what everything looks like. I'm staying on, the reps are staying on, David's staying on, so that if you have questions after you see this or while you're seeing this, please feel free to include them and we'll respond.
Welcome to MathUP Student. Developed by Rubicon, a Savas company, and created by Marian Small, MathUP Student is a grades 1 to 9 resource with new digital tools that directly complement MathUP Classroom. The digital resources in MathUP Student are designed to save teachers time by offering materials they can use to differentiate instruction, help students who may need some more support, and engage parents. For grades 3 to 9, MathUP Student provides 2 types of purposeful practice, as well as in-short videos and Brain and Camp digital manipulatives. For grades 1 and 2, in-short videos and Brain and Camp digital manipulatives are offered, but not the practice components. Now, let's begin our walkthrough of MathUP Student. Similar to MathUP Classroom, when teachers log into MathUP Student, they have access to the content in all grades from 1 to 9. This walkthrough features a sample grade 4 topic, so let's go to the MathUP Student Grade 4 Ontario edition by clicking on its card. Once inside a grade, you will notice a Table of Contents panel on the left side. These links give you easy access to the MathUP Classroom platform. You can run MathUP Classroom and MathUP Student at the same time with 2 tabs or windows. Next, there is a welcome message from Marian Small and support for how to navigate and use MathUP Student. And finally, a link from each MathUP topic within the grade. On the right side of the screen, you see the MathUP Student components for that grade. The Featured Resources filter allow you to access all of the content for the component for the grade. To access the components for a particular topic, click on the topic title in the table of contents. Let's go to Grade 4 representing fractions for an example. Links to the MathUP student components for use with the topic representing fractions are provided on the right side. Digital materials are auto-scorable skill practice, skill and concept practice, in-short videos, and Brain and Camp digital manipulatives. Let's start with the auto-scorable skill practice and skill and concept practice. These practice components offer a consistent and cohesive alignment to MathUP Classroom. Both types of practice feature the same types of purposeful questions from Marian as you find in the Lesson Your Turn or Topic Your Turn questions. The skill practice provides 10 auto-scorable questions for each MathUP Classroom topic. These questions relate to the knowledge in the Knowledge and Understanding category of the Ontario Achievement Chart. Students work directly in the digital environment at their own pace, whether at home or in school. After answering each question, students receive instant feedback and teachers can get assessment for learning data through website data reports. After clicking on the Start button, the questions that are presented one at a time on screen. Students can return to any question to try again. Skill practice includes various question styles such as multiple choice, fill in the blank, drag and drop, and questions that contain multiple parts. Students can enable audio if they would like the question to be read aloud. For each question, students can click on Check Answer to receive a quick indicator on whether their answer is correct. If not, they can try again. At the end of the questions, students have a progress report to check whether they have answered all of the questions. When ready, they can submit their work to their teacher. And upon submitting, students see their final score for this practice activity. They can still go back to try any questions again. Like MathUP Classroom, MathUP Student offers just-in-time support for teachers. To open the Teacher Guidance panel, click on the person icon. If you wish to access the content in full screen format, click on the Expand icon. Here you find a list of any materials or tools that could support students as they work. The And the Point Is section identifies the skills covered by these questions, as well as which questions relate to the MathUP lessons in the topic. You can save this information as a PDF or print a hard copy of all or some of the pages. Now let's move to the skill and concept practice. The skill and concept questions provide additional practice for students who may need other opportunities to revisit and reinforce their understanding of math skills and ideas at the end of a topic or lesson before assessment of learning happens. Students can work independently or in pairs, possibly with the support of concrete or digital manipulatives. It's important to note that the skill questions are the same questions as in the auto-scorable skill questions, but some are reformatted for print output. The concept practice provides 8 new questions for each MathUP Classroom topic. They relate to the understanding, thinking, and communication categories of the Ontario Achievement Chart. Students can enable audio if they would like the question to be read aloud. Students can also print the pages to work offline, and this functionality is the same for teachers. Once again, click on the person icon to open the Teacher Guidance panel, which you can open in full screen view by clicking on the Expand icon. Under Materials, you'll find a list of concrete tools, downloadable and printable PDFs, and Brain and Camp digital manipulatives to support students as they work. The PDFs are in the same reproducible materials pages you would find in MathUP Classroom lessons and are also provided here for convenience. The And the Point Is section identifies the skills and concepts covered by these questions, as well as which questions relate to the MathUP lessons in the topic. And finally, you have access to all of the questions and sample responses. Now, let's take a look at the in-short video component. In these engaging videos, Marian Small talks directly to students, providing a simple explanation of key math ideas or concepts for a particular lesson that may be challenging for some. These There is one video for each topic in MathUP Classroom. They can serve as support for parents and others who may be working with the students at home. In-short videos are followed by 3 printable questions that students can answer to check their understanding. Students may enable audio if they would like the questions read aloud. Similar to other places within MathUP Student, teaching notes include any relevant materials as well as a reminder of the learning goal, background on the video content, and sample responses to the questions. You can pop it open in a full view and print from there. We're very excited to provide access to the Brain and Camp Digital Manipulatives with a MathUP Student license. These tools can help students visualize concepts, solve problems, and show thought processes as they learn. As a bonus, students, parents, and teachers can have access to these digital tools anytime while working with MathUP Classroom lessons and activities. From the home page, you can access any of the 17 manipulatives offered by Brain and Camp by clicking on its image. This concludes our walkthrough of MathUP Student. We look forward to talking more about how MathUP Student can meet your classroom needs.
So we've been trying to answer the questions that you've asked in the chat. I'm not sure we have the answers to all of them. But anything about the businessy stuff, I will let my colleagues answer. And most of these questions are about costs, separate logins, things like that I can't honestly answer. So I'm going to kind of let David take over unless you need me to answer something.
No, thank you, Marian. So the first things to know are that the Ontario edition will be available first, but we're definitely working on producing a national edition as well. Availability for the Ontario edition will be this summer in order to implement for next back to school. There is a separate login and a separate cost for MathUP Student. MathUP Student is hosted on the Savvis Realize platform. There will be a LTI integration between MathUP Classroom and MathUP Student so that it's easy for teachers to go from MathUP Classroom to MathUP Student. Students will be able to log into MathUP Student through Savvis Realize. We'll follow up. When we follow up with the recording, we'll send an email to everybody who registered, and that'll have more ways to ask any businessy questions that I haven't covered, any technical questions I haven't covered. I think, and you'll be able to ask questions about cost and timing availability. We'll also be at OAME, which will be a great chance for us if you have the opportunity to go to OAME in Kingston this year. Great opportunity to get a hands-on look at MathUP Student. We'll be demoing there, and we'll have more opportunities throughout the end of this school year for educators to get their hands on MathUP Student. I think, Marian, that covers off the
somebody
questions.
asked the grades. It will be grades 1 to 9 to answer that question. And then I don't know what else I'm missing about questions here that come to me. The screener is a whole separate issue, so that's not what MathUP Student is all about, but you can talk to us about that sort of separately, and we can talk to you about that. So that's probably useful for you to know. With the kinds of videos you'll see for the older kids will be slightly more appropriate for older kids than the ones that you saw for grade 1, but they will still be short and sweet and to the point.
Exactly. Marian, there's also an interesting question in the Q&A about whether multiple attempts by students for the auto-scorable questions will be trackable by teachers. I don't actually know the answer to that question right now, Ashley, but great question. We'll find out and make sure we follow up on that one. But if there are any, we have to say, we very much appreciate all the interest. It's so great to see so many folks come out today and be engaged and ask so many great questions. And sincere apologies if we haven't covered off anyone's question. Please know that we'll be emailing everybody who registered with the recording link, and it'll have plenty of places to send a message, but also just reply to that email if you've got questions that weren't answered today, and we'll be happy to address them there.